Let's just see if we can get some people to start watching, or if they're gonna watch. I figured I would talk about how I got started in with knives. Um, Collecting, that came later. You know, all the different channels out there. I figured we'll discuss all that different stuff, but maybe I'll start off with that. Uh, this video, I'll go ahead and let it upload whenever I'm done, so those that missed it will be able to see it anyway. So I'm just going to start off by talking about channels out there. There are several channels out there that I do follow, and there's channels I do not care about. Okay, I'll talk about the channels first that I like. We'll start off with Donovan 2. Everybody knows what a massive collection he has. You know, all the knives he has, and he's always courteous and nice to everybody online. I mean, his collection's just phenomenal, you know, legendary. And we got Cowboy Bebop, Knives TV. Same thing, massive collection, awesome guy, polite when he talks to you. You know, great channel. There is Uncle Junk, his new channel. I'm not sure. I think he's been around maybe a year now. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. Good channel. I like to see that channel go far because he's more realistic. He's not putting on a show or an act for views and attention. Just telling it the way it is, man. And I like that. You know, I like to see a channel like that go far over some of these other channels that are out there. Greg's Blades. Man, if you're a Rambo fan, Greg's Blades, that's where it's at. That guy puts on one hell of a show, man. I mean, his displays are just phenomenal, and he has all top of the line pieces, as accurate, movie accurate as he can get. I mean, got to check out the channel. I'm trying to think who else is out there. There's several other people that follow me that don't have channels, and I'm trying to think of some of the other channels that are out there that I follow and talk to. Those are some of the main four right there. I mean, there are more. Hello, how you doing? I see you. Oh, we got another one. What's up? You're watching. Who? I can't see it, man. So let me see who we got here. Carmine? Did I get that right? My eyes ain't that good, man. Old Brody's getting old now, man. So yeah, I was just talking about the channels that I like, you know, and enjoy. There's several other ones out there I watch. Of course, I'm blank right now. What are you saying here? Let me see. I can't read it. Anyway, I appreciate all my viewers, all my followers. You know, the people that. It's very flattering. I just sometimes it's overwhelming because I started out as a pretty modest collector and didn't really have a lot going on. Wasn't even planning on going in the collection. I was just going to talk about that for a second, how I got started. But you know, I've always had knives all my life since I was a kid. You know, first knife I got was probably it was in the 70s, early 70s. I wasn't very old. I was born in 68, so you figure it out. Uh, I got a Swiss Army knife, the executive back then. And that was it. I had the knife bug, you know. Of course, later on in my, oh God, what was it, late 70s? I don't know. I got my first Buck 110. And then from there, you know, I got into bigger knives. Rambo, the movie Rambo, that set it all up. Hello, everybody. No, I'm not a vet, unfortunately. But anyway, you know, the Rambo knives, you've seen those, and those sparked a whole lot of new knives and a lot of survival knives and exposed weaknesses to knives that were being made. It was that got everything going. But of course, I had my knives back then. I didn't ever get the good Rambo survival knife. I had that same cheap survival knife back in the 80s everybody had. You know what I mean? There was one with a great big ball compass on the end of the handle, and I believe the handle was plastic and the knife was just bolted on, and it was pretty easily broken. But damn, that was the closest you were going to get to feeling like Rambo back then. You know what I'm saying? You know, I had one of those, and then, of course, back then, I think it was '86, the Crocodile Dundee movie came out. That was it. I wanted that knife. Back then, though, unfortunately, they didn't make that knife, and we didn't have the internet, so trying to find things back then and look up things like you can now and have eBay and all that at our disposal, we had none of that. So having that knife, that was out. You know what I'm saying? So there's a department store where I lived. This was in the mid '80s, and I walked in there. It was called GB's. It does no longer exist. Walked in there, and they had a big display case, all their hunting knives, and then I didn't know anything about Western knives back then, but it was a display of all Western knives, and they had the Western 49, and I looked at that thing, and it was all shiny, and I looked at that blade. I was like, man, that looks just like a Crocodile Dundee knife, except it had the big S guard and the Z guard on it. Uh, and I bought that. That was my first big knife. That was only $50 back then, and I bought it around somewhere in '86, probably. I don't know what letter it was. I can't even remember anymore, and I end up losing it. But that knife was unbelievable because I lived in Allegheny National Mountains in Pennsylvania at the time, and I'm a teenager. All I did was carry that knife in the woods. That was just like I would chop at tree branches and tree limbs like I was carrying a machete going through the woods. And my friends started throwing it. They had some 49s too. Believe it or not, that was a popular knife then. And they were throwing their knife, and I was like, "Oh, ain't you afraid of breaking it or anything?" And no, I started throwing mine. I realized then how tough that knife was because sometimes the handle smacked off the trees or you'd hit it wrong or something. It never damaged the knife, just made me a believer of the knife. And from there on, I mean, I just ended up with all kind of knives throughout the years. The Buck 124, the Buck Field made, a lot of different bucks, all kind of different knives. But I wasn't a collector yet, even though I owned several knives. It wasn't until probably 2011 I had a YouTube channel and I decided to make my first video, which was horrible. It was hideous. I got in front of the camera and I froze up and didn't know what to say, stuttered and, just falling all over myself. It was not something I wasn't used to, that kind of experience. But I made my first video back then because I had bought a Bowie knife again, and it was a Smith & Wesson Texas Rangers Big Bowie knife. And I got on YouTube and I started looking up that knife. I was like, oh, that'd be cool to see if other people have it and what they're saying about it. That's when I got the bug, man. I started looking at all these other knives. Right after that, I seen the Timber Rather Western Outlaw Bowie, and I'm like, I gotta have that. And then the next thing you know, I'm collecting knives. 2011 is when it started, and I made my first video in 2011 on YouTube, but I deleted it. It was a video of that Texas Rangers Bowie knife, but it was so bad and I was so embarrassed that I should have left it up because it was great to look back on that, to see where I came from, to see, really going from an amateur to what I am now. Not that I'm some great big pro guru or anything, but God, I was lost back then. And, I learned a lot since then, man. So yeah, that's when I started. I just started collecting, and I've been adding to them ever since. Daytona Beach, is that where you're at? Thanks, brother. I believe that's pretty nice, man. I believe it's a pretty good collection, man. Gotta get close to read that stuff, but it's been It's been a great trip. I was there in the beginning and all the knife videos, man. I started out, even though I was I mean, the camera quality back then was horrible too. In 2011, it was like, especially for me, I didn't have the greatest phone or laptops, and what is this stuff? Why are they suggesting can I fold a fitted sheet? Anyway, yeah, I started collecting then, 2011, and didn't really know what I was doing, but I've progressed quite a ways, and my collection has grown phenomenally, as some of you may know if you've been there all the way along and seen everything I have. No, you didn't miss too much. I talked about how I started collecting. Um, I am going to upload this video after it's over, and you'll be able to go back and watch the beginning. And I talked about how I started and just finished talking about that. Basically started in 2011. I just started out looking on YouTube at the knife I purchased to see what people were saying about it, and I started looking at knives, and I saw a Bud Cave video back then for the Jungle Fury Bowie. That was 12, 14 years ago, I believe, and I was like, that cheap ass knife impressed me. That video, and from that point on, I'm like, I'm collecting them. I don't care if they're expensive or cheap knives. You know what I'm saying? I don't. It can be a $4,000 knife, or it could be a $20 knife. Broddi's gonna like it. And of course, as you guys know, I lean towards the Bowie knife a lot more, even though I do have my folders. I'm going to show you some of this stuff. I have it sitting in front of me. You can't see it, but I'm going to show you some stuff. And if any of you guys want to see something that you've seen in my collection before, I'll be glad to pull it out. I have quite a few of them right here nearby. So yeah, I bet you have, man. I've been seeing you all over the knife videos comment on everybody's stuff. So I imagine your collection has grown. Mine has really grown. Mine has grown a lot in the last 3 years, but I mean, it's been growing phenomenally for a long time. But all you got to do is go back and look at my videos, and you'll see all the knives I've uploaded and posted. And a lot of them, most of them I still have. Some of them I don't have anymore. I mean, some of them I gave away. That's something else I learned about collecting is I've had friends, and I'm a giving person, and I've gave a lot of things away and helped a lot of people. Never brag about it or tell too many people about it anymore. But I gave some knives away, and then of course later on, I'm like, well, like the M-Tech Raptor I gave away. I was like, well, I'll just give this away. This ain't that big a deal knife. It's only $60, and I'll just buy another one later. And as you guys know, they don't make it anymore, and they're worth more than $60 now. It's funny how those knives quit getting made and all of a sudden the value goes up on them. I have several knives now that I bought without thinking about it, that all this knife ain't really worth all that much or whatever. And they quit making it, and suddenly it's like you go on eBay and look at the price of it. It's outrageous. It's like ridiculous. It's like twice as much, three times as much, four times as much. Depends on the knife. It can really, really get up there, in price. Here's a good example one. This was a copy. This sheath it was handmade from somebody in Alaska. If you watched any of my videos, you'll know what it is. It was made for a Western 49. This is a Western 49 copy made from blanks. If you watched any of my videos, I'll tell you where they came from. I'm not going to tell you everything. You need to stick around and watch stuff. But these were made from blanks of the old Western 49s, and they got sent overseas. This is when they were going to 420. If you look at that, you'll see this. You'll just see it right there. That's what the Western 49 looked like. You want a comparison of one? Almost stabbed myself. Live action to stab myself. Here we go. You can see the grinds and everything are pretty similar, man. It's almost the same knife. This is a Western copy. I mean, this was supposed to be the Thunder Bowie, his stunt double. Don't mess up the good knife. He did have a stunt double in the movie because he didn't want to ruin his 49. he had the Western 49 in a TV show, but right there was my favorite knife. My first big Bowie knife back in the 80s, and that was it. I had the bug. I like the Rambo knives, but man, once I got this, and if you look, this is not that quarter-inch thick or anything like that, like the Marine Raider Spec 10 is, Ontario. But it didn't bend, it didn't break. I mean, this knife was tough. I mean, I could cleave right through stuff, and oh man, just the way this knife feels in the hand, the wood handle, the finish on these knives. I mean, it's just. I love these knives, and you couldn't get the Crocodile Dundee knife back then. Of course, I have that now. Yeah, I posted it was going to go live, and then somebody asked me if it asked me on the live post because I made a few minutes short live post that I was going to go live, and they asked me if I was going to go live, and I did say yeah in about 2 hours, and well, here I am. 2017. Is that what I'm reading? Yeah. The Raiders one and you screwed up on. Did you have it? You know what? I had the 1095 version. That was one I gave away and gifted to somebody. It was one of the older ones from God 15 years ago. I don't know, somewhere around there. Anyway, it was the old one. They were in a black and white box back then, and they were this Tang, not the Tang, but the Ricasso was stamped, Ontario on it. Those were 1095, and then later on they went to the 1075 version. I'm not sure if the version I have is the 1075 or the 1095 because it's the still has the old sheath, what to me was way better. But when they were transitioning from the 1095 to 1075, they still produced some 1095s, that came out, and those knives came in like a black box. I have one of those. I don't sure if it's a 1095, 1075. Probably prefer the 1075. Believe it or not, it's tougher, even though the 1095 is harder. 1095, the harder the steel, the more chance of it being brittle and breaking. Yeah, they disappeared. Ain't that crazy, man? That's one of those knives. It just was a $60 knife. And here, I'll share a good story with you. When I went to buy my second one, I was in Bass. I think it was Bass Pro Shops or Cabela's in Texas. I can't remember which one it was. I was in between, I think, Houston and Dallas at the time, on my way to Dallas and coming from Houston. And we went by. I was like, told my ex at the time, Valerie, I was like, man, I want to stop there. Can we stop? We went in and I looked at knives and I bought a buck 110 in a collector's tin, $35 back then. And it was 2015 when I did that. And you know what they are now. They're like 70, you know. I bought that and I saw the Marine Raider Spec 10. I'm like, after I gave the other one away, I'm like, damn, there's the knife, and it's like, it's only $60. So I told them I wanted it, and they pulled it out of the case and walked it up for front for me, took all the security tags off of it, and I'm sitting there at the register and they're ringing me up. They ring me up for the buck knife, and I bought some other stuff. I forget what it was, some little things, and I got thinking about it. I walked out. I was like, man, that price seemed awful cheap. And I looked on the receipt. Well, they took all the security stuff, packaged it up, bagged it, put it in the bag and everything for me, rang everything up, and forgot to ring up the Marine Raider knife. Free. Walked out free. I told my ex, I said, "Do you think I should go back in and pay for it?" I said, "No, don't do it back in there." And I'm like, okay, so I didn't. But anyway, I got that Marine Raider for free. They screwed up. They didn't ring me up for it, put it in the bag, walked straight out the door with it. I'm like, how often does that happen? I've seen a couple on there. I think, yeah, if you're going to get the 1095 version, you're looking about 200. But you can get the 1075 version for about 140, 50, $60. A black beauty hatchet. I'm gonna have to check that out on video, man. You know, there's another channel right there. He calls himself Rick Grimes, is Big L. Another great channel. Western Collector got turned on by a Warthogs channel, which is another great channel. I was talking about channels in the very beginning. There's two channels you should check out. I mean, these two guys, you know, are off the hook with the Barlows and the folding pocket knives and everything. And Warhog is like, he's like a legend with the Barlows and all the different knives. He has all kind of knives, man. You know, these are all great people, man. It's a brotherhood. That's what I like about it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Western guy here ever since in the mid '80s. You know, let's see here, and I did show you the Alaskan sheath here for the. This is the Thunderboy Turtle Man. So. And this here is a new old stock right here. I have several new old stock. I have some that have been used, 49s, and you know, some I've cleaned up and restored some. There's one, my M model got, like this version has some pits in the blade, a couple places, but you know, the rest of the blade's in really good shape. I restored it. It was all rusted and discolored. And I have another M. I've got an M that's stag handle. How many stag handle Western 49s do you see? The blade community is amazing. I mean, you don't. I've been looking. I have seen I think I have seen stag handle 49s, but you know what? I haven't seen on stag handle or any other kind of handle. I have not seen any Western 43s. Look how little that is. Look at the detail on that little knife. Knife companies cannot make this anymore. This is an N. Yeah, this little baby boy is awesome. I haven't seen anybody on YouTube with these. And that's one of the things I take a pride on. There's several knives that I have on YouTube that nobody has. Or maybe there's only one existing. I know there's a couple I have that I only had them, and I think Donovan too finally added them to his collection. So he's got a couple of rare ones that I have that nobody had, but there's several that I have that nobody's done videos of, nobody's put up, and that to me is cooler than seeing the same old, you know, some newest knife comes out and everybody buys it and they're all on YouTube, all doing the same thing, and batoning wood. Don't get me started on that bullshit, but. Fucking mall ninjas, man, out in their backyard cutting 2x4s and logs, and you know, just stay back there, man. You don't belong in the woods. 45. Don't see that on YouTube. Stag handle, especially. I haven't seen anybody with one on YouTube. I have specifically looked for them. Can't find it. The only place I've seen them is in the Facebook group for Western knives, and yes, I'm in there. And I've seen them in there. This 45 is the same way. This one you could almost, I mean, it's small, but you can almost one-hand it. Definitely get 3 fingers around it. Same thing, the attention to detail. This is an N2. And I do have, of course, the 49 stag, and it's an M. So I got the 43 and 45 are N's, and the 49 is an M. Something for ladies. Okay, Al. You're fired, bro. Anyway, you know, I got my, you know, if there's any knives you want to see me pull out too, I'd be glad to dig them out. I mean, I got the Buck 184 over there. I'm looking, I can see a lot of Hibben knives, a lot more Western knives, Rambo knives. I mean, name something. Of course, I got into the folders, went through some years I really hating on Cold Steel, wouldn't buy none of their products. I thought, uh, oh, what's his name? Lynn Thompson was kind of a clown. I even issued a video out there about 10 years ago to get in the ring as he was talking about his sparring and how good a shape he was in. And I just found that amusing. And at that time, I was in peak physical condition, bench pressing about 560 pounds. So I'm like, yeah, I'll get in the ring with you. Let's see what you got. I don't think you can tie your shoes. The one blade I regret, that's, let me think. It's probably going to be the M-Tech Raptor. Because all the other ones, excuse me, I've been able to replace. Everybody knows how many Western 49s I have now. I don't think anybody on YouTube can top me on that one. And I'm not done yet. I promise you in the next 6 months, I'll have every letter code and every Western 49 they made. I promise you that. I told you. You want a 49 war? Broddi going to give it to you. But I got into folding knives, you know what I mean? And even though I hated Cold Steel and Moreland, because some of the stuff they said, chopping people's hand off at the wrist and all that, I'm like, that's some bullshit, that's one hell of a knife. Well, there's some truth to some of the stuff they said, after using their knives and seeing the videos and stuff, but I guess I did like the Espada when I saw it. I was like, whoa, when they pulled that out of their pocket, I'm like, where in the fuck did that come from? You know what I mean? Like, and it opens up to like stupid, you know what I mean? It's like, and they're so sharp. I mean, you got your plain basic Espadas, like the one on EDC right here, with the just plain old G10 handles. These are nice. They don't really stand out all that great, not like the fancy ones, but the fancy, you know what I'm saying? The fancy Espada. This is the large. That other one was the large plain G10. These knives are beautiful, but they're tough. You know what I mean? I mean, look at that. You guys, I'm sure you guys know what a spot is, and they come so stupid sharp. I mean, most knives I got to put the edge on. Like you saw that Scorpion Swords and Knives video I recently did with cutting the paper. That's not factory edge, man. That knife didn't come nowhere near that sharp. These out of the box come that sharp to do that. That's impressive. Not many knives do I find they're sharp enough. You know how many people will tell me, well, the knife was dull when I got in there all disappointed. Well, sharpen it. If you're a knife guy, man, you should be sharpening your own knives. You have them both. Oh, Terminator Joe. Yeah, dude, you're a big knife guy. You're a lot like me. You're a big guy. You like them big knives, man. I've watched your videos. I can't believe how you carry fucking 70 pounds of knives on you, brother. Holy shit. The Mayhem. I see you talking about the Mayhem. This knife. Same thing. This is like, I loved carrying this even more than Espada. I believe. Okay, we got the large Espada here. Let me open that up. This is kind of in between this and the large. See, the large is just a little smaller, but then you got this. So I always kind of thought this was maybe just a hair big, but then this was just a hair small. You know what I'm saying? This was just right. You know what I'm saying? I've seen some people bashing in a certain channel. He broke the tip on it, throwing it at a tree. It's not a throwing knife. Look at that tip. You're a knife guy and you threw that at a tree? That's what I mean about the mall ninjas out there, man. It's just like, and people just fall into that bullshit and believe it. It's like, come on, give me a break, man. It's not the knife's fault. It's not the heat treat. This tip, that's not a tip made for prying or it's made for stabbing, but not in hard woods and shit like that. This knife has one purpose, and if you know what that is, then we're good. But of course, that's the Atlas lock on that. I have two of these. I love these. I like to EDC it, but I don't. I EDC this one because I ain't worried about this one getting lost, stolen, confiscated, scuffed up, messed up. So I carry this one. They do look stupid. Of course, I added this one here recently. This is the Wolf Gray, a Spada XL. These are on sale. I think they might still be on sale for 128 bucks on Amazon. You use their Amazon coupon that you get right there. You don't need no special links or anything. I don't know if that's going on. I could check it right now, but I was like 138 bucks, because I've actually EDC'd this one, and it actually carries quite well. It doesn't stick way out of my pocket. I don't know what's up with some of these guys on YouTube. There's a guy, Totes Malotes YouTube channel. He's on there talking about it sticks out of his pocket, and it's just too stupid of a knife. And some guys, it's just, you can tell they're little knife guys. This knife's just too much for them. It's just too big. And I'm like, look how far it's sticking out of my pocket. I'm like, dude, you weigh $160. That's why it's sticking out of your pocket. You know what I mean? Uh, I'm 275. I'm not going to have any trouble putting this in my pocket and hiding it. You know what I mean? And it doesn't stick out that much. You see a little bit of it, but if you look, you may be able to see some scratches on it. Nothing bad. But I have carried this. I have EDC'd this, and it wasn't all that bad. But I didn't want to keep carrying it because I was scared there for a little while. As we were talking about earlier, they're going to quit making this Spada. And you know what happens then? The Spada's already $300-400 a knife. XL is the fancy one. They quit making it. Oh, if you can find one, then what's the price going to be? So I'm like, I think I'll just take care of this one. And then I decided to buy the large only because I was on Amazon looking around, and it's on sale for 179 bucks. I'm like, man, the last one I bought was 200 and something. So I actually bought it for a chick that carried knives. The one that gifted me, she gifted me a bunch of Randall knives. I gifted her some knives back, of course. So yeah, this was one of them. Of course, I told her before she got it, don't cut yourself, and if she cut herself, right? So there's that. There's those knives right there. I'm going to put my EDC back in my pocket. I don't know. Is there anything you guys want to look at? Any knives you want to see? $5.9. I couldn't. You can't tell on video, Joe. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what's up, man? Yeah, you can't tell on video, Joe. You look 6 foot taller than me. I have no idea. I am 6'1". I am 275. It's that video doesn't always tell you. I mean, I can put a baggy T-shirt on, and I can't tell you I'm going to be totally looking small, but I can definitely fool you, and you won't know just exactly what I'm packing. On this video here, you can kind of see it just in my forearms. I'm not trying to show anything, but my forearms are usually bigger than most people's upper arms. Large bush folder. Yeah, you know what? I got the LBK. I'd like to have the LBF, man. The last time I looked at them, I was at Blade Show 2024. I never heard of half breed blades before. And I came up to the table and I looked, and they had a new LBK, large bush knife version that, was just an updated next generation one. And I tried to buy it. It was the only one they had, and they wouldn't sell it. And I'm like, they only displayed it there. And I'm like, damn it. But I still bought an LBK from them, man. And I'm telling you what, that one of the sharpest knives. It does what these do out of the box. I didn't have to put an edge on that one. The factory edge, stupid sharp. Just feather paper, just cut like you couldn't believe, man. Yeah, right. Yeah, he's not very big. Well, he didn't like it. I made a follow-up video of it and posted it, and he didn't comment or say anything on it. He ignored my video, and I went back and looked at the comments on his video because I commented. I was like, well, it fits in my pocket fine, and I can make a video and show you. I think you're just a little dude, you know. I wasn't trying to be an ass. I was just like, you're kind of small, man. You know, even at 180 pounds, that's not really a big guy to me, you know. But he deleted my comments and everything, you know. He's, I guess, little guy complex, maybe. I don't know. What do we got here? Let me see what my message is saying. Can I believe they're messaging me some kind of political crap from Minnesota? The fuck, man. Let's see. All right, it's your bedtime. You have a good one, Chris. Chris Phil. No, it depends on what kind of weight you're carrying, man. If you're carrying solid muscle, you know, you don't look like you're overweight or obese to me, man. I mean, and at 5'9", it's a little different than me. You know, if I was carrying 270 at 5'9", you know, I'm planning on leaning down. I down to 255 most of last summer, and I gained some weight. So like, well, heaviest I've been 335, but that's where I was at when I was bench pressing 560. But guys, I ain't gonna lie to you, I got so fucking big I couldn't even wipe my own ass, man. I was like, that's just ridiculous. So I had to lean down and lose some of that. There's no need for me to be able to lift that kind of weight. I mean, I was curling more than most people were bench pressing, so I'm still strong. I just checked when I got out of the shower. Arms are still at 19 inches. Yeah, I'm not looking for politics right now. Is there any knives that I can pull out? Because I think I've showed you a bunch on the table already. Love these spotters. You know, the XLs are just, you know, I kind of almost wish they quit making them one day because so the value of them goes up, and I can be like, yeah, I got one. You know. Let me see here. What else do I have? I got the Conan sword, even guys. I don't know. Let me go grab a couple knives, man. I'll be right back. All right. Some more stuff. We're going to talk about knives. At least I can show someone. We can look at them. Got a kukri. What is your best buck knife? I'm going to show that to you right now because I just happened to grab it. Let's start right there. My best buck knife is this buck knife. Right here. This is the Buck 184. This is unused. You might say it's still a little bit of a cough from when I was sick. You might say this is new old stock, but this was not just any new old stock. This was come out of the Buckmaster custom shop. This is one of one. There are no other ones. These, they put numbers on these when they're in the shop, and the only way they numbered them in order as they made them. You know, 34 was 34, 35 was 35. This one's an 0044, so this one was 44. And yes, that is mirror polished. That is out of the Buck custom shop. And I looked up the numbers and who did this knife, and it even shows the guy that worked on it and did this knife. You know, unfortunately, I didn't get the paperwork with this one, but I got the box and the paper that came with it inside, you know, the box, the instructions and all that, you know, literature was all in there, but I didn't get the paperwork with it. But this one here, would boggle your mind if you knew what the price of these run. This this is ridiculous right here. This is probably my best buck knife, although I do have a brand new buck field mate. I've got several fancy custom buck 110s that are limited run, limited issues. I've got probably that Trump buck 110 I have is there was only 25 of them made, and it was signed by Richard Nyman. If you know who Richard Nyman is in the buck world, in the buck 184 world, he's the one that wrote the buck 184 book, and he's like an expert on the 184. Him and Chuck Buck signed it, and a bunch of signatures on it, and gave it me paperwork with it. That's probably one of the more rare knives I have. I have some painted ponies, Michael Prater's 110s. Yes, I got kukris. Let me see. Yeah, it's that was probably the survival knife to have. Back in the 80s, I can remember in the early 90s going into malls, and then Cutlery World existed. If you guys never got to see that, man, it's too bad because you went in there and they had all kind of knives and cutlery and not just, your survival knives. They had all kind of kitchen cutlery. They had cutlery, period. Man, I missed going in there, and I would go in there all the time. And I can remember being about 164 bucks back then, even back then. And I was like, I'd go in there and just drool over it. I did get a Buckmaster 184 copy of an off-brand, and it turned out to be a very good knife. I don't remember the name of it. I got it in an Army surplus store, and it was built well, and it took a serious edge, and even gave me the scar on my hand right here. I don't know if we can see it. It's going to come out, but I cut my hand on that knife too, all the way. Cut the thumb muscle and everything right through with that. It was so sharp. Slipped on it, cutting some wire. Uh, I have a survival kukri made by Frank Gonzalez. This one's thicker than the ones he made this like one of his regular kukris he made, but this one I have is a little bit thicker. He personally handmade this one. I believe it's made out of 52-100 ball bearing steel. It could be 5160, but I think most of what I got from him came from him, and not the kukri house over there. But it's a survival kukri, and it's the one that I can't remember his name. He was on some survival show and he won the survival show, and it's the kukri he used. I have the same kukri. Mine has a leather sheath. It doesn't have that kukri type sheath, and I like that. It's almost like a Western sheath for kukri. Is what I have. I can actually get that and get it up, but show it to you. But while we're talking about Frank Gonzalez knives by hand, here's one of his. This is one of my favorites of his. This is the Frank Defender Bowie. And you can look at this sheath. This can be carried scout carry, or traditionally, it's even got the big D ring up here. And I do believe these were 52-100 too, ball bearing steel. Look at that. Full tang. You can see the full tang running all the way through that. The guard and everything, it's all one piece. It's not. You're not going to break that. And this is like a hybrid kukri, Tom Brown tracker Bowie knife. You know what I'm saying? It's got the whole thing going on in the handle. Just that feels good. It's got the exposed tang and a place for your lanyard on the back, a place you can choke up. I mean, it's sharp, and the sheath was done matches it. You know what I'm saying? They didn't make one killer knife and then put a junk sheath on it either. The sheath is just great. His knives are just indestructible. If you've never had a Frank knife, you need to go get you a Frank Gonzalez knife. And he's the master of kukris. If you're gonna get a kukri from anybody, get one from Frank Gonzalez. Yeah, I would call it a three-way fusion. Here's one everybody's seen, but they don't see it in a Bloodwood version. This is the Timber Rattler Western Outlaw Boy. Tell me where you've seen a red handle one. Nobody. That's what I mean about having certain eyes that nobody else has. Let's take pride in that. Everybody has the Western Outlaw, but do they have this version? I don't think so. And let's see here. Do I have any paper? Just happen to be sitting by the trash can. I don't know if it's sharp. Yeah, it's sharp. Yeah, that'll kind of feather the paper. It's so sharp. That, what is this? This is a no good Pakistani knife. It won't take an edge and won't do nothing. Yeah, cool story, man. I love the Timber Rattlers, man. For the price, they're the best budget cheap knife you can get. Yeah, it does look like the Rambo 3 knife. It has that. You know what? There's another one. There's a Smoky Mountain Knife Works knife. I could get that out and show it to you. I don't know what they call it. It's a large hunting knife. It's a Bowie knife. It looks like the Rambo 3. Here's one I haven't shown in a while. I have two of these. This is just a plain one, I believe, maybe. Yeah. I have a uh what's his name? I can't Jim Bowie version of this. This is a Western 47. This would have been the Camillus era. You won't see too many of these. I think I've maybe seen these on YouTube. I'm not sure. There's not too many if there is. Uh, I have two of these. I have another one that's got the Jim Bowie scroll, etching on it. It's a limited run piece. It's numbered and everything. I have that. And of course, I have this one. So yeah, I have the 49, 47, 45, and 43. And I do plan, like I said, having all the letter codes, all the date codes on them, the A through O. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find an O. Those, I don't know. I just, the way they were made, produced, and between the switchover and everything, I may not ever find an O. Let's see here. What else can we look at? I'm going to grab the one other one that looks like the Rambo 3 knife. I do have the Rambo 3 knives too. I have the signature edition master cutlery or whatever now they calling it, the Hollywood collectibles, and then I have the Hollywood collectibles plain one, and I have two of the United Cutlery new versions of the Gil Hibben 3. And them are, for a mass-produced knife, those are pretty nice. The handle's way nicer than the Hollywood collectibles version. Let me grab you some more knives, man. I'll be right back. So, the Rambo 3 one. This one would be very similar to the Rambo 3 also. This is the old Smoky. This used to be Colt. Colt used to have this knife. And they had a couple other knives that were Colt, and then Colt just quit making them. But Smoky Mountain Knife Works changed the name on it, and they kept making the same knife. Doesn't say Colt anymore. It says Old Smoky. But this is very much similar to the Rambo 3. I like this knife. This is actually a pretty good looking knife. This camera ain't doing it any justice. And it even Truthfully, the sheath is also similar to the Rambo style sheath. If you know what the sheath looks like for the Rambo knives, very similar. But the only thing you don't have is the foul mark, work on top of the blade and the hole through the blade. I believe that hole was originally for an attachment to be attached to the Rambo 3 knife that never got used or done in the movie. I bet you were, man. All the knives you got. I was like, I don't know how I missed your channel all them years, man. Everybody knows what this is, and I do have both sheaths. I have the old version sheath. This is the new version for this. This is the Crocodile Dundee knife. This is the Down Under Outback Bowie. I know this is like out of all my favorites, probably the Western and then this knife. And I have this is the 440C version, which I like 440C. You'll hear a lot of people put it down, act like it's junk steel, which back in the 80s it was premium steel, and now all of a sudden it's junk. I mean, I don't know. I've never had a problem. These are awesome. If you don't have one of these in your collection, man, why not? You know? I mean, these are great. Beautiful knife. Feels good in the hand. Sharp. Beautiful. Great sheath. I didn't really think too much of the little steels that come with them, but they actually work. I've actually was able to sharpen with this thing. I couldn't believe it. And I was able to touch my edge back up. And of course, they make the 1095 version of this too. I have that too. This one you gotta watch because it'll rust. That 1095 will rust quick on you. And you gotta watch the sheath. It's not they draw moistures, it's the process of making leather and curing it and everything. There are chemicals in there that'll attack acids that'll attack the metal and it'll corrode the metal and rust it. That's what happens with a lot of knives. And I do use protectants. I clean them all the time with knife polish. I use Blue Magic or Flitz, and I use Flitz ceramic coat. It's like wax for knives, and I put that on her, and it helps protect it, from rusting. All right, guys, let's see here. What else can I talk about, man? Anything you guys want to ask me? Yeah, I started out my channel. I started out as a knife channel in 2011. Stayed knives because I just wanted to go knives and changed my name several times. Didn't know what to call myself. Originally, my channel was Dirt Rider 169, same as my email. And then I changed it to, when I was in Texas, I changed it to Texas Edge, which I thought was an all right name. But then I moved. I was only in Texas a couple years. I moved, so that name just didn't fit no more. And I was doing a lot of chainsaw videos, and everybody's like, "We'll go all the way to chainsaws and do all chainsaws." And I did that for a while, and I just didn't like the chainsaw crowd, man. That's a whole nother story. I feel like I did me pretty dirty, man. There's a lot of jealous people out there in the world. If they don't like you, they're gonna cut you down. They'll spread all kind of bullshit on you. You know what I mean? Just haters. They don't want to see anybody else moving up, getting going anywhere. They're not going anywhere or doing anything. The only time they get any kind of attention is when they're bashing somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So I fuck that world. I left that, but I still do my saw things. I still have a lot of saws. And I've done a lot of other videos like motorcycles. Of course, I ride. I'm into motorcycles. I have had many motorcycles and own motorcycles now. Did those videos, So I had trouble with the name, calling myself, just the Chainsaw Shack, which I made that name up too. And it's a Facebook group, and they've all stole that name off me too. They're all using my name, the Chainsaw Shack that I created. It tells you what kind of people they are. Uh, and I'm like, man, I got to come up with a name that fits everything for this channel because I don't always do knives. I lean heavily towards knives, but I do a lot of other stuff. And then I get certain companies want me to talk about their product, and if it's a decent product, sure, I'll do it. If it ain't, I ain't touching it. I'm not going to recommend something I wouldn't buy myself. Um, so I just come up with the name Broddi's Corner. I was going to call it Broddi's Blades, but I call it Broddi's Corner. I figure that covers everything, and it's just like I say guy channel. I mean, it could be. There's female collectors out there. I know several of them. I'm not excluding them in this thing, but it's just most times it's gonna be what guys like. It's gonna be their type of thing. They're gonna be like into knives, motorcycles, or whatever. Unless you're a they them, one of those things. But it's just like one of those guy things. The Turtle Man Escort isn't either. What? I'm not sure what you're answering me to on that one. I've run on my mouth so long. Grab your 49th, 100th anniversary and compare it to anything that Camilla's didn't make. I'll go grab the 100-year anniversary, and I've got a plain Western here, and I still have the Turtle Man 49 here. I'll go get that, and we'll compare them all real quick. 100-year anniversary. Get this thing out of the box for you. All right. Let's see what we're supposed to be looking at. It's not bent like the ones on the Western. Let's see here. Well, no, it's not. The old 49 has a little more extreme of a bend. This bend's not as much on this knife. Let me see what the Turtle Man looks like. Yeah, the Turtle Man looks like the original 49. Yeah, there's a needle in a haystack, but there are some out there. I got one friend on Facebook, and she's all in the knives and telling me, you probably think I'm weird. I'm like, no, I think it's cool as shit. And then there's Carrie on here on YouTube. She's on Facebook and associated with knives by hand pretty heavily, you might say. Big time knife freak. She just as many knives as we do, and carries espadas and everything else. So they're out there. Yeah, they are out there. Yeah, it does have a sharper bend. Yeah. Yeah, this is almost flatter. I ain't saying I put down a Camilla's version. I wouldn't turn one down, but The Western and the Coleman Western to me, a lot night. Those were the ones I liked. I mean, I feel like they perfected that through the 77 till the end of Coleman. You know, they had that knife down. You know, it's the steel, the looks of it, the feel, the finish. You know, the fit and finish. It's just no. The Turtle Man doesn't look like the Camillus. Let me hold them back up. It's got the Turtle Man has a sharp bend. Here, I'll show you. Oh, did I put that away? All right. Here we go. You can see the Turtle Man has more of a bend. When I put it behind it, you can see it sticking up. The bottom bend and the top bend. This one's only one doesn't. Uh, this this one is the actual 49, and they match up. Them bends are the same. I say the Turtle Man, everybody wants to know what the closest, you know, Western 49 knockoff is, and I've seen a lot of people try to use the Cisco Bowie, and I'm sorry, that's not even close. The Cold Steel Wild West Bowie, I own that one too, as you probably know. I don't consider that to be close either. The closest one to the 49 copy that was made is right here. The thickness, the shape of the blade, I mean, all of it, the guard, it doesn't get any closer than that. I mean, this is Paca wood handle made to look like real wood. I don't know if you know what Paca wood is. It's not really real wood, but it's a great synthetic handle material, and it looks like wood. It's almost no telling the difference there almost, but this looks so close to a 49. But I will say, you know, you won't see the shape right in here like you have it right here on this handle. Let's see if I can get that at the right angle. It's going to show it. This slopes in right here. This doesn't really, it's just pretty flat. This handle's a little thicker and wider and more squared off. This is a little more rounded and more finished. This 49 just feels good in the hand. If you've never held a 49, you don't know what you're missing. You know, I always felt like there was that doesn't go in there. I'll put this over here. I always felt like the 49 and the case were competing together, but I feel like the case got its ass whooped by the 49. Even after the 49 was not produced anymore, it's still a bigger sought after knife than the case. You know, I do like the case, you know, Bowie too. Let's see, who said that? The Terminator Joe. You like the Muso Bowie, huh? I'm gonna get one of them out here too in a second. I got a knives by. I've got a couple versions of that, but I'm gonna get the knives by hand version out. Everybody probably seen this one on Cowboy Sebop's channel. I did it first, but RR 2272. That has stag and pack of wood. I was bummed out to see that, and this thing is sharp. I touched it up. Let me see here. Yeah, it's sharp. I'm afraid of cutting my hand with this one. I think it's huge. Look at that. Let's see here. Just There's a comparison next to the Western. It gives you an idea just how big this is. I mean, and this is a big knife. You know what I mean? This one's just of course I had to have it. I don't know, but I feel bad because Cowboy Bebop got a bad sheath with his. You know, and I would have been him. I'd send it back because these knives have lifetime warranty, and I would have just exchanged and got a better sheath, or if after I cleaned it and I couldn't clean it, but you know, nothing wrong with this one. But yeah, one of my favorites here. One of these days I'm gonna chop something with it just to see what it does because it's so damn heavy. Still not my biggest, heaviest Bowie. That would be the Timber Wolf King Crown Stag or whatever it is. That thing's 1/2 inch thick, whatever. Joe, Terminator Joe, I know you have that same knife. Uh yeah, Rick. I mean, oh, I was calling you Rick or Al. Yeah, it's the guard is different. I can go get that and show it to you. I have that knife too right here. That guard's just like it's not shaped quite the same. It's more rounded where the Western comes to a point. You know what I mean? It's the fit and finish is terrible. You know what I mean? They're for what they are, budget blade. You know, great knife, man. You can't go wrong for $30 to get one of those. You know what I mean? They're pretty tough. You know what I mean? If you hurt it, you're not out nothing. You lose it, you know, just easy to replace. But the sheath sucks. Knife ain't too bad, but it's people keep trying to use that as comparison to a Western because they'll be trying to put the Western down. I've watched videos and I know what they're trying to do, but they don't even have a Western to do it. You know what I mean? They're on it with a Cisco or something or the Cold Steel, and I'm like, I mean, if you've held a Western and had a Western, you know that's not a Western, man. It's not even close. You know, the steel they used is, you know, their processes, and there's nothing like that anymore, man. It's like toughness and hardness and everything that those knives had it, you know. And if you put them head to head with them other knives, I just don't think they'll do as well. I'll give Cold Steel a decent, you know, check for you know they made the sheath pretty similar to the Western sheath. And, you know, they were staying pretty close to what the Western sheath or the knife looked like, but the fit and finish on that Wild West Bowie, just lines just aren't just as sharp. You know what I mean? They're just it's a they call it semi, what is it? It's not mirror polish. It's a satin finish. Okay, but it's almost mirrored. But you know the finish just ain't the same. It's just not the same. You bet, man. Hey, let me grab the muso for you. My kitchen table's gonna collapse from all the knives on it, man. Oh yeah. I need some more shelves to hold up all my knives. So Muso, let's get this one out of the way first. Didn't say I was gonna bring this one out, but this is a Muso. This is a Hibben, as everybody knows. Of course, that's the Expendables. I do have that. That's your Muso style right there. I've had this one since 2012, I think. I've had two. I've had two out. Well, actually, I've had three Outbacks. I've had two of the 440Cs and then one of the 1095. I don't know what it is about certain knives. I don't just buy one. I had to buy more than one. But here is knives by hand. This is the, oh, I forget what he calls this one. Big knife name. Goes right along with Jim Bowie, and I can't remember his name. This is what this is a homage to. let's take a look at the sheath before I even do that. Look at that. I do have, the sheath probably looks a little shiny. I do have snow seal on this thing. Again, overbuilt sheath. This can be scallop carried or off the belt. Sheath is real heavy leather, well made. I mean, when you get a Frank Gonzalez knives, you know, when you get one of his knives, you get one hell of a knife. And yeah, this thing is stupid sharp too. This is 52-100 ball bearing steel. I need to clean this one up a little bit. See, the brass needs a little cleaning. You can tell I ain't had it out in a minute. Yeah, that's one of my prized possessions. Yeah, I think so. Let me what you say. You got the one with the wooden handle. So you got the Old West Muso from Hibben, or you've got the, do you have the Bloodwood version? They make two of them. Let me look and see if Knives by Hand still makes that. I'll look on my other phone here real quick, and I'll tell you. I thought they still did. This phone wants to act stupid. Here, we'll see here in a second. Yeah, the sheath, all the knives that I have from him, the sheaths, and there's some knives I have that he doesn't make anymore. I've got the Eagle's talon with the eagle brass eagle head on the back. It's like a it's like a kukri, hybrid Bowie giant tracker knife, and he doesn't make that one anymore. And there's not too many of them out there, so I'm going to hold on to that. And his stuff's usable. It looks fancy, like something you want to use and break, but his stuff is indestructible, man. It's like that's made out of 52-100 ball bearing too. I've got, and it's just a phenomenal knife. Let's see. I'm gonna check his site now. Non-kukri knives. He's got the small inch Frank Bowie. I also have the Frank Bowie. Let's see here. The Tejano is sold out, both versions. I did the cut video about a day ago with that. That's my edge on it too. That's not factory edge. A lot of these knives will come back into stock. They'll show sold out, and then he'll make some and he'll just sell right back out, man. He has a 9.5 inch Diamondback to be discontinued. It's on sale for $145, man. That's marked down from 195, almost $200. That would be a good steal. I do have a Diamondback Bowie, one of those too. It's another one that's like a hybrid. All right, he has the Moore Bowie still. I'm looking, guys. He has a Western Bowie. That's sold out. That figures. He has a USMC Raider Bowie. $240 right now. He has the Crusader Bowie. I have that one. They still make that. That's sold out. And the Chrome Bowie, he still makes that. The Frank Bowie original, sold out. Frank Defender Bowie sold out. I showed you the Defender Bowie a little bit ago. Yeah, that's the Jesse Robinson boy. That's the name I was trying to. He still makes it, but it is sold out right now currently on his site. Those go for $300, which is $300 for a handmade knife like that and sheath is, you know, you can't beat that. It's my second time making a live video. I did one yesterday, short one for just to tell people I was going to do a live video and do a test. And I'm glad I did one because I didn't like the camera on the other phone, so I'm using this one. You know, it definitely works better. Here, let me show you guys something else too while we're here and showing all kind of knives. Randall. As you guys know, I got several Randalls. I think this bear bow is probably one of my favorite ones. Just look at the shape of that. It kind of reminds me of the Condor Jungle Bowie, the shape of this. The Condor's got a sharpened swedge clip up here, though. This one isn't sharpened. But this bottom part sure is. You can see the micarta. You can see the red, black, and white spacers in there, too, between the brass. Yeah, I know a lot of guys like these Randalls. For a lot of people, these are grill knives or knives they'll never see or have. I mean, I'm trying to think how many I have. I think I have maybe 8 Randalls. I've got a carving set too. You know, it's got the fork and the knife and all that stuff too. That's more stuff that you're probably not going to see on YouTube. You know, I've got other Randalls. I've got the Smithsonian Bowie. I get that always confused with the Confederate Bowie because they look just almost identical. I think it's the blade stock is different in thickness, but you can actually get both of them in the same whatever thickness you want because them are custom knives. You know what I mean? But you're gonna wait 7, 8, 9 years unless you find a dealer that has it already, and you're gonna pay. You're gonna pay dearly. You're gonna pay dearly anyway for a Randall. You're gonna pay, man. You know, Randalls, aren't cheap. You know, and I don't see many of the collectors with those. And usually the collectors and the Randalls, they're almost exclusively Randall collectors. You know what I mean? They take the Randall knife serious, man. You know, definitely. Let's see here. Oh, I don't know. What else would you guys want to look at? I can pull something else out. I don't know if I'm going to talk about sharpening and all, but I've used everything from the Work Sharp, like the Ken Onion version and the regular version, and then the Work Sharp Diamond Stones, and I'm trying to think what else. I have every sharpening gimmick there is, and I still stick with the diamond whetstones. They just seem to work the best, man. And I'll finish my excuse me. I'll finish my knife off. You know, I usually take them up to 1,000 grit diamond. You know, I'll start at a 200 grit diamond. I'll jump to 4, 6, 1,000, and then I'll put my finish hone on with a 1,500 grit ceramic rod. That's how I get my uh, edges that I'm cutting paper with. You know, the videos I do with the paper standing up. Um, I do have a strop. I don't use a strop either. I've bought everything. Some of the things I bought just to prove that they were, useless, or I can say, yeah, look, I showed you that it's gimmicky. You know what I mean? You definitely don't want those carbide sharpeners that you drag your knife across, man. Those are hideous. Any questions, guys? Let's see here. I don't want to pull any other knives out. Looking. Let me pull out my biggest stag handle anyway. I'll be right back. stag one first. This is my biggest Bowie knife right here. Yeah, I mean, I told you guys this was big. This is that Rough Rider right here. As you can see, they're very similar in size, but that's the length. That's about as far as it goes. I think this one has it in size a little bit, and it definitely has it in thickness. This thing is like a ½ inch thick. It's so ridiculously heavy, and you'll see some red on this stag. That's from me cutting ballistic dummies with this. They were loaded. Yeah, they had the fake blood and everything in them, and I was like, stained my knife, so I'm gonna have to get that off of there, but not too worried about now. But Terminator Joe, I know you have this one. I saw it on your channel, man. Biggest knife I have. Unbelievable big. Just stupid big. And look at the thickness of this thing. That's ridiculous. I don't know how much this thing weighs, but I always hear people talk about their knife weighs 5 pounds or whatever. And these 5 pound knives usually weigh about 1 pound, maybe 2 pounds. These people have. They're not that big. This one, I guarantee you, it's probably 8 pounds. I mean, that steel is so thick. This thing is so big, man. I've got pictures of me holding this thing, but yeah, this is my biggest Bowie knife I have right here. And I know there's not too many on YouTube. I've searched for them, but didn't think any was on YouTube. Joe, even when I search yours out, I can't find it. You might want to put that in your tags, for people to be able to find it. Because I've searched for people with it on, and I just happened to stumble on your channel one day, and I was like, damn, he has that knife. Oh, message is held for review. Let's see what we got here. All right, Big L, have a good one, brother. Do I have a guilty pleasure cheap knife to show you? I did show the timber rattlers already. Let's see. Let me put it back down. Yeah, I did a timber rattler in the beginning of the video. I guess this one's $44 right here. I mean, $44. I mean, $50. I don't know what it was. It was lifetime warranty. Now it's not thick. You can see that this is the typical. Yeah, maybe 3/16. Maybe a little thicker than that. But it's not like that Crown Stag I have. That's just ridiculous. Cheap knives, probably I think the Timber Rattler Western Outlaw. Let me grab the Cisco. All right, guys, back. I'm going to try to make these last 3 knives, my last 3 for the night. I got to clean up all these knives now. I was talking about the Cisco here earlier. This is the Cisco, which is a lot like the Western, they say. And like I said, I don't really think they're that close. If you can see the difference. Got dust all over that one. That's better. Yeah, the guards are definitely different. If you look, this is more rounded. This is more pointed. It's just the fit, the handle. This one here feels like a round hose I'm holding on to or something. This one, the grip is just Way better. Way it just feels so good in the hand. Don't feel like you're getting any hot spots with it either. It just doesn't have any of them pressure points on it anywhere. This I don't know. This I mean for the price, this is budget blade right here. It's not bad. It's 3/16 thick enough. I believe this one's carbon steel. I wouldn't care if it was stainless steel. I wouldn't still have any problem, but definitely not a Western, man. But you can't get a Western and you're looking for a budget knife, it's good way to go. Sheath, nothing to write home to mom about, that's for sure. Not much of a sheath. Buck knives, back to Buck. Buck Fieldmate. I had one of these in the no, it was late 80s. Late 80s, I had one of these brand new. That's when I first learned about flits. Never heard of them before. Bought this knife in the 80s. Not this exact one, but this same knife. And it came with flits, and that's when I tried flits back then. I'm like, damn, this works pretty good on knives. And I used it on my Western 49. These are not made anymore. I have the box, the paperwork, everything. This is brand new, old stock. Never been used. This was another find on eBay. But yeah, these were great. These are miniature Buckmasters. If you know what the Buckmaster looks like, notice the blade, the edge. But these are the 119 size. So basically, you're looking at a Buckmaster 119, 184 crossover here. The handle is Creighton. These are great knives, man. These things get stupid sharp, really sharp. That was one of the things, maybe one of the sharpest knives I had back in the 80s was maybe this one, because when I sharpened it up on the old Smith's Arkansas stones, that edge was like surgical. I'm going to show you this last one. This is a Bowie knife. This is an old one. This is Pakistan, but just something you ain't never going to, nobody on YouTube is going to have or seen. I've tried to show this one many times, and I guess some people just don't get it, but here's the sheath for it. Whole other sheath. I probably should need to treat this one, I think. But I've never seen anything like this. Yeah, it's stupid, not nothing I would want to use in real life. But if you see this, it's a folding knife. See this here? This is your button to release this. I'll push this down like so. And then I can open this up. And look at that. The guard all comes into place and everything. And then it locks. And you got you a Bowie knife. You ever seen anything like that before? I haven't. This has got to be older too. This is very unusual, and you're not going to see this anywhere. Yeah, and they're not making anything like this anymore. And it'd be about 3/16. I definitely know it's an antique. It is Pakistan, obviously, but pretty unique, man. Look like I need to clean this one up too. All these knives. Terrible, terrible habit. Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to shave any weight off of it. I'm not going to mess with it at all, but I don't think anybody but me and you have those knives on here, Joe. That's, like I said, it's one of them things I take pride in, is not having something everybody else has. It's like, what's the point? Who cares? You know what I mean? Everybody's got it. It's not special. Yeah, I never seen anything like that either, but it is beautiful. Yeah, it was gifted to me by somebody, an older guy. Oh, it's already late, man. Let's see here. For some reason, YouTube's holding a lot of these messages. Joe Doomsday. Damn, that was Joe. All right, Joe, man. Shit. I can't see. I thought I was talking Terminator Joe. I can't see. My eyes are so bad. Glad you checked in. Here's another great channel, guys. Joe Doomsday. He's been around almost as long as I have. He started shortly after I did. Another one with the massive collection. He's been around. He's old school. He's been around a minute, man. I'm glad he got to check in. I'm glad I got to see a lot of you guys, man. You know, I just want to say I appreciate everybody. You know, all the followers, all the likes, all the, you know, wouldn't be no channel without you guys, right? So I'm probably going to sign off. I'm going to do this again. This seemed like it was pretty successful. I do enjoy talking to people and, you know, answering questions and interacting with you guys. So let's do it again. This weekend's over, but next weekend I work all weekend. Maybe I can get you guys another live video out. Every other weekend I'm off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and every other weekend I work Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I work 12-hour shifts at night. So if you find it, I'm trying to get a hold of me during the day, good luck. I'm sleeping. But I'll probably, maybe I can do another video Wednesday or Thursday. And I'll try to make that a regular thing, and it'll probably grow pretty big, actually, whenever you do that regular. So let's do it again. And I'm just saying peace out. Appreciate everybody's channel. Appreciate anybody follow me, all the likes. If you don't like me, appreciate that too. Negative attention, still attention, man. Peace out. We'll see you guys later. And Broddi signing off, people. Later.